50th City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation, and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
Hooray for Hollywood! Hooray for Hollywood! So today we had, g'day and sweaty cum. Today we had a fabulous day. Rawr, rawr. We had everything about MGM and everything, right? And this is Neil Davidson. He gave a phenomenally popular talk, really charming about all these great film stars. And of course, I was doing the MGM entry there with the roaring lion, yes. And there's a great story even about that.
Yes. Well, a lion has more of a sort of a grunt. If you want to be scared, you listen to a tiger. So you film the lion, which is impressive with the big mane, and then you stick the tiger's roar over it, which is what they did. So everything you see on a film, whether you hear it or see it, is a lie. It's designed to fool you. It's designed to fool you, and that's how they did it.
Yeah, because real life is too boring.
Absolutely. In Psycho, when they used the stabbing scene, they had to try. Yes, that one. Well, they had to use 32 different kinds of melon to get the right sound of the knife going into the flesh.
Oh yeah, because and one of the things that I noticed about films, and that they do the shuffleboard artists who make the sound afterwards, yes. is how loud the footsteps are that they put in. Right? It's like.
Well, I mean, horses, coconuts, and so and so. So they're actually called Foley artists. And a Foley artist watches the film, and it's an incredible skill because they will synchronize the sounds, and they're punching a joint of beef, they're kicking tins, they're falling over, they're doing everything in sync with, because if you're in film, it has to be bigger than real life. So there's no point, if I punched you now and it was recorded here, it wouldn't sound very dramatic. No. But if I punch a sound of beef and the microphone's here, then it sounds like I've really hit you. So it's the whole thing is put together. In Apocalypse Now, there are 11 different soundtracks which they had to intermix, and they weren't part of the filming at all. They were filmed separately. All the gunfire was filmed in North San Francisco, and the music film is done in New York and so on, and they take all those soundtracks and then it's an incredible skill, put it together so you come up with this thing that moves you.
I remember after they wrapped shooting, Francis Coppola said, "I've never seen so many people glad to be unemployed," because it was a nightmare shoot.
He said we weren't filming Vietnam, it was Vietnam. So it had every disadvantage you could possibly think of happening while they were filming. And the one time they thought they were going to give up because they had so much film and there was no real story. And in fact,
he didn't have an ending for it.
No. Marlon Brando is based on Heart of Darkness, the book, and
Joseph Conrad's book.
So they hadn't even he hadn't even read the book, and so they ended up with all this weird film which had to be put together to make some kind of story. And of course the photography is amazing, and the music was amazing.
I remember when because he tells many stories, so we're just grabbing one. I remember when I saw it in Sydney, and they had no credits. Yeah. They actually had like something like a program that you get from it. So it was like you spent suddenly 2.5 hours in a jungle.
Well, the original idea, it wasn't going to be distributed around the world. The original idea was to show it in one theatre in mid-America, and use it as a permanent thing where you could show the film.
Like a Las Vegas show.
Yes, and then they changed it after to distribute all around the world. But it was the first one. It used a special sound system which got 26 speakers across you, and it's got bass woofers behind the screen. And it was the first film where they actually used sound design as opposed to just sound.
That amazing chopper sound it starts off with.
Incredible. So it was incredibly innovative, way over budget, and it cost a lot of money, and then it just built up this cult following. And in most people's lists now, it's top 5 films in the world.
Oh yeah, no, it's an unbelievable experience and stuff. And today was an unbelievable experience. People loved you. They didn't want you to stop talking.
I can't stop talking. It's my.
He actually said he was prepared to come back next week if we didn't have a talker. So that's how great Neil is. We could stand here because I love films and stuff. We're talking about unrealistic.
Yes.
People don't realise that all dialogue in films and novels to a certain extent is unrealistic.
Yeah.
Because they cut out all the ums and ahs and the non sequiturs and stuff. Unlike this conversation, which has all sorts of non sequiturs in.
Well, William Goldman, who was the great screenwriter. He wrote Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
He wrote the great book on screenwriting. screenwriting too.
Yes, Adventures in Hollywood.
Yes.
Adventures of the screenwriter.
Yes. And coined the great phrase, nobody knows what they're doing.
You have an immediate conflict in a film because you've got the producer's vision of what it should be, you've got the director's vision of what it should be, the writer's vision of what it should be, and the star's vision of what it should be. And they're all slightly different.
Then it gets edited.
And then it's get edited. So you've got an immediate fight between all four saying, well, this should be what's happening, and this is how the character should be portrayed. So William Goldman, if you read that book, says how frustrating it is because your vision that you put your every bit of energy and love into is suddenly being changed, and the star's ego will say, well, this character isn't heroic enough. So but it's fascinating. And the way he wrote, in 30 seconds he can get across who the character is, what motivates them, and where they are in life, and incredible skill.
So, talking about incredible skill, it was an incredibly skilled and informative and charming and amusing talk, and you really want to catch it. And everybody really wants Neil to come back and give another talk, and we hope you will.
Thank you very much for asking.
Because he talked about how everything was about sequels now. Well, everybody wants a sequel from you.
I have endless sequels.
So, and now we roll credits, the end. Goodbye and sweaty come.